Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're gonna do the Gameweek 9 team selection video. So it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, and that's because we were having the international break. So that is now coming to a close, and we are now ready for Gameweek 9. So as usual, we'll talk about how I did for Gameweek 8, take a look at my transfer plans, who I'm gonna bring in, who I'm removing, and then take a look at captaincy before we review the final team. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. Right, so really pleased with my Game Week 8 performance. Right, I did activate my wildcard and I scored 64 points. Had I not done it, I would only have 30 plus points. So I'm quite glad I did it, and it shot me up all the way till just out of the 1 mil mark. Right, so we are sitting on the cusp of the 1 million, the top 1 million players in the world. Right, so hopefully we can get into the top 1 mil right in the coming game weeks, and I think I'm quite confident that this team would be able to take me through quite well all the way up till the World Cup. So as for how I did for Game Week 8, I think I'm pretty happy with some of the choices that I made, especially to start Maddison ahead of Andreas as well. Maddison, of course, scoring against Spurs. And as for the other players, I think Isak also scored a penalty that was pretty good. Trippier with the assist there, even though the Newcastle clean sheet was wiped out, right? So a blank for Pope there as well. As for the other returns in my team, I think the Man City boys did really well, right? Cancelo 9-pointer, De Bruyne as well with 10 points, and Haaland, of course, with the goal, right? We did expect him to score more given that Wolves were down to 10. But I think we can't complain too much with this score. Right, so this was how I did for Game Week 8, and let's now take a look at how I'm going to line up all the transfer moves that I intend to make, right, for Game Week 9. So for Game Week 9, this is a very likely transfer that I am going to make, right, and that is De Bruyne to Salah. Now, I haven't locked it in yet, but I'm likely to do De Bruyne to Salah and then captain him. Now, for those of you who are thinking of this move, I only recommend it if you intend to captain Salah in Game Week 9. If not, it wouldn't be worth it, because if you're still going to captain Haaland, I don't think there's too much of a difference between De Bruyne and Salah. So the differential comes in if you are intending to captain Salah. Now, the reason why I've done this move instead of maybe taking Isak out for Tony or Solanke, which a lot of people are doing, right, is because firstly, I don't like Tony's long-term fixtures, right, so that just leaves Solanke. And problem with Solanke is I know he's not going to be super explosive. I don't think I'm compromising too much by delaying that move 1 week and prioritizing this move first. Right, I do have plans, and if you guys watch my transfer plans video as well, I did already have plans to take Isak out and bring Solanke in maybe Game Week 10 or Game Week 11. But I decided to prioritize this move here ahead of the Isak move, even though he is red flagged, right? And of course, De Bruyne is fit to play, but I still prioritize this move ahead of the Isak move, and that's because I want to capitalize on that Brighton at home fixture for Salah, right? There are a lot of reasons surrounding this move as well, so I'll list them out now. Firstly, it's because I think De Bruyne, there is potential for him to be rested against Southampton. I took a look at the fixture congestion for Manchester City, and they actually play 5 games before the Game Week 12 blank. And in those 5 games, there are quite short turnarounds between each of those games. So I actually do think that the most likely game for De Bruyne to be benched, which we have seen happen before against easier teams, right? Against Forest, he was rested, right? I do think that against Southampton, which is one of the more easy games in the next 5, right, there is a very high chance that De Bruyne will be benched there. So in that case, if that does happen, I'm not saying that's 100%, but if that does happen, that kind of, lowers his attractiveness a little bit. And on top of that, right, there are a lot of compelling reasons for me to bring Salah in right now. Eventually, I will have to make this move, that's one. Secondly, I think Liverpool are looking pretty good coming back from, a lot of players that are coming back from injury. Right, Jota did look really good in the Champions League as well. He really gelled that attack. So I'm quite convinced that against Brighton at home, right, of course they're playing at Anfield, I think there's a good chance that they could start the comeback, right? And I don't think that Liverpool will start performing poorly forever, right? There will be a time when they will turn, and I want to be there when they have the bounce, and that's why I've gone for this move early, right? Gonna bring Salah in and captain him. Right, so let me know what you guys think of this move. Would you do it, or would you just take Isak out for maybe Tony or Solanke? So this is how the team could look like in Game Week 9 after I've made the KDB to Salah move, right? It kind of plays itself in a 4-4-2 here, as you guys can see. Right, on the bench, I have Ward, Andreas, Guehi, and Isak. Now, they're pretty much players that land themselves on the bench, right? Andreas against Newcastle, Guehi against Chelsea, Isak, of course, is injured, right? So Ward as well, I think he is probably the only one I can consider starting, but of course, Leicester's defense has been really, really poor, right? So I'll think about whether I want to start him ahead of Pope, but for now, Pope is in the starting 11, right? And basically, the rest of my players kind of feed themselves, right? So Trippier, Zuma, James, and Cancelo, I actually do think that Zuma, right, West Ham is pretty much in the top 5 for clean sheet odds this game week in Game Week 9, so I'm quite confident that he could get some clean sheet points there. For the rest of the players, really good attacking potential, and all of them are pretty much the template players, Trippier, James, and Cancelo. Like in midfield, right, we have Bailey, Martinelli, Maddison, and Salah. Right, there is a little bit of doubt whether I do think that Bailey would start, but if he does against Leeds, I think he could really, really perform. Right, but if he doesn't, then there's Andreas on the bench as well. Right, and up front we have Haaland and Mitrovic. Now these front two, I think pretty much the template front two as well. Right, so this is how I could line up in Game Week 9. Now let's take a look at the captaincy rubrics. Right, so here we have the Game Week 9 Captaincy Rubrics, and for those of you new to the channel, this is basically a rubric I do every game week to kind of tell us statistically who is the best captain, right? Funnily enough, I am going against the rubric this game week. I don't really follow the rubrics every single game week, right? I have followed it for pretty much 6 out of the 7 game weeks, and when I haven't followed it, I have been kind of burned a little bit, but I do think that this is the game week to go against it, right? So I'll go into a little bit more about why I'm choosing Salah, but based on this metric, they are saying, right, that Haaland is the best captaincy option with a score of 35 points, right, and then followed by Salah, Tony, and then Maddison, right? I've left out the other players like Jesus, Kane, because they are playing each other, so I don't think we would want to captain them, right? So based on this list, I think it's pretty obvious Haaland really tops on a lot of the statistics, right? Expected goals, expected assists, even projected points. He is projected to do pretty well in this game week, even against Manchester United. So there are a couple of reasons why I am still choosing to go against the metric this game week and go for Salah instead. Because obviously there are going to be a lot of people still going to be on perma captain Haaland, right? And I think this is actually the best game week to go against that, because in the next coming game weeks, I don't see us shifting away from that, right? And on top of this, right, Salah is playing Brighton at home, right? Brighton who are under new management, right? And Liverpool with all their players coming back, as I mentioned just now. This is really an ideal game week to actually go against the metric, right? That everyone is going to tell us to captain Haaland, but I think there is a good chance that Salah could do well, and if that does happen, I think it does present a lot of a chance to rise in rank, right? And going different could do really well this game week if it goes according to our plan, right? So for now, I am still going to captain Salah, as I mentioned just now earlier in the video when I talked about bringing in Salah for De Bruyne, right? But for those of you who do want to follow the statistics, obviously it does say that Haaland is the best captain, followed by Salah, Tony, and then Maddison. So with the captain's armband on Salah and the vice captain's armband on Haaland, of course, right, this is how the team would look like, and I think on paper it's a really, really strong team, right? Lots of good fixtures for the defenders, right? In up front as well, good fixtures for the midfielders and attackers as well. So I do think like there could be every chance. I do expect Maddison as well to perform really well, right? Martinelli, he's playing Spurs, but I think on the counter he is a very, very good player, right? And Bailey, if he does perform well, right, he did get a goal against Man City, so if he does well, I think against Leeds, who aren't really the strongest team defensively, he could profit there, right? And then of course Salah, my captain, and then up front Haaland and Mitrovic. So I do hope that this team does well and kind of propels me into the top 1 mil. That obviously would require Salah performing pretty well, right, and Haaland of course not doing as well, right? But we'll see, right? Stay tuned for the deadline stream, right? The Game Week 9 deadline stream that would be coming on Friday night. If you guys are interested, you can tune in, right? But for now, I think this is how the team would look like. I'll let you guys know my confirmed transfer move, or I'll probably make the transfer during the deadline stream, right? So that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe as well if you are new around here, and I will see you guys in another video very soon.